2002, the Alabama Supreme Court issued a decision in a youngster guardianship fight between a lesbian mother and a professedly harsh father. The guardians had initially lived in Los Angeles, and when they separated in 1992, the mother got essential physical authority. Be that as it may, she was a heavy drinker, and in 1996, she sent her 3 kids to live with her ex, who'd since moved to Alabama, while she went to recovery. Her legal counselor, Wendy Brooks Crew, revealed to me they had an understanding that the children would remain with their father for a year, yet he declined to return them to their mom since she was living with a lady. There was proof that the father was manhandling the children, who by 2002 were young people. He recognized whipping them with a belt and compelling them to sit with paper sacks over their heads. He declined to send the more youthful youngsters to summer school, despite the fact that their evaluations were awful. At the point when the children called their mom, their dad taped the discussions. When the case got to the Alabama Supreme Court, a lower court had let in the mother's support. The Alabama Supreme Court switched the decision, with then-Chief Justice Roy Moore writing in an agreeing sentiment that a gay individual couldn't be a fit parent. Gay lead is, and has been, viewed as despicable, unethical, vile, a wrongdoing against nature, and an infringement of the laws of nature and of nature's God whereupon this country and our laws are predicated, composed Moore. He included, the state conveys the energy of the sword, that is, the ability to forbid lead with physical punishments, for example, constrainment and even execution. It must utilize that energy to keep the subversion of youngsters toward this way of life, to not support a criminal way of life. The man who composed those words is currently the Republican contender for the United States Senate from Alabama. In some ways, this is a humiliation for Donald Trump, who paid attention to Foundation exhortation to help Moore's adversary, sitting Senator Luther Strange, in the essential. Yet, Moore's triumph is additionally a triumph for Trumpism, a populist development that has dissolved typical points of confinement on political conduct. At first glance, Trump and Moore couldn't be more unique. The president is a thrice-wedded previous gambling club proprietor who let Howard Stern call his own little girl a bit of ass. Moore is a fundamentalist Southern Baptist who composes rhyming verse decrying wanton sex. Your youngsters meander capriciously harmed by cocaine, choosing to enjoy their desires, when God has said go without, he wrote in his mockingly titled lyric America the Beautiful. Trump depicted himself, amid his crusade, as a genuine companion of the LGBT group, regardless of the possibility that he hasn't carried on like one in office. Moore has said that gay sex ought to be unlawful. Be that as it may, read whatever remains of America the Beautiful, and you begin to see where Trump and Moore's perspectives cover. Both see a country in prophetically calamitous decrease, edgy for recovery. While Trump discussed American massacre in his tragic introduction discourse, Moore calls the nation an ethical ghetto anticipating God's judgment. Like the president, Moore is a scheme scholar who slanders religious minorities. He once composed that Keith Ellison, a Democrat from Minnesota, ought not be permitted to serve in the House of Representatives since he is Muslim. I met Moore over 10 years back, when I was looking into my first book, Kingdom Coming, The Rise of Christian Nationalism. At that point, Moore had been constrained off the seat for declining a government judge's request to evacuate the 2.6-ton Ten Commandments landmark he'd introduced in the state legal building. This affliction made him a faction figure on the religious right. A gathering of resigned military men had taken the landmark on visit, holding more than 150 viewings and energizes. At an occasion in Austin, Texas, one of them talked intensely to me about the outsized energy of American Jews. Moore would later be rechosen to his seat, just to be suspended for whatever remains of his term in 2016 for requesting judges not to conform to the Supreme Court choice-toppling bans on gay marriage. In attempting to comprehend the development I was writing about, I swung to researchers of tyranny and dictatorship. On the off chance that their words appeared to be pertinent at that point, they're much more so now. Fritz Stern, a history specialist who fled Nazi Germany, portrayed the preservationist transformation that prefigured National Socialism, The development embodied a mystery. Its devotees looked to pulverize the detested present, keeping in mind the end goal to recover a glorified past in a non-existent future. His definition clarifies the covering interest of Trump and more, who excite their supporters with their unmistakably unpreservationist enthusiasm to pulverize lawful and political standards. What Moore's pundits see as disorder, his fans see as extremist valor. Trump's most noticeable patriot supporters, including Steve Bannon and Sebastian Gorka, arranged behind Moore, portraying him as a feature of the Trumpian insurgency. Nigel Farage, a conservative British lawmaker and Trump partner, traveled to Fairhope, Alabama, to talk at a rally for Moore, saying in front of an audience, "It is getting somebody like him chose that will revive the development that prompted Trump and Brexit." Regardless of whether that is valid, the development that prompted Trump has conveyed us to a place where Moore will presumably soon sit in the United States Senate, something I could barely have envisioned when I initially experienced him. In those days, against gay preference was significantly more satisfactory than it is today, however Moore's messianic censure of a lesbian mother was all the while stunning. Trump isn't a devout man, yet by decimating casual limitations on reactionary talk, he's made his gathering neighborly to the cruelest of theocrats. Moore's prosperity will undoubtedly empower more applicants like him. The Republican Foundation's outskirts have been broken. Its pioneers ought to have fabricated a divider.